Hey, welcome to the channel Collector's Life for Me. Today we're going to be checking out a trio of Thundercats from Super 7's 1/12 scale Ultimate line. So we've got Cheetara, Jaga, and Lynx-O. So let's jump into it. So Cheetara is my most recent addition to my Thundercats collection. I had her on pre-order through Big Bad Toy Store, and they finally made me ship her. So she was the last figure that for now is going to complete my collection. I am getting the Thunder Tank when that is released, but I might actually be done with this line, period. So here's Cheetara. First impressions when I got her out of the box, I was really excited to get this figure. Cheetara being one of the more iconic Thundercats figures from the original group. But when I opened her, I was actually slightly disappointed upon my first looks, and honestly, the figure's kind of grown on me. So what I seemed to be disappointed about was her facial expressions, and then also her mold. I guess I expected maybe a little more muscle tone or something. It just seems very plain, and I mean, it's very feminine, but I feel like it's missing some aesthetics that could really make it more appealing, better looking figure. So let's check out our articulation. So what did start to impress me, or what grew on me, was how posable this figure is. She's got this kind of upper torso rotation that a lot of the other figures don't have. They kind of have like you can move them forward or backward, but she's got full rotation above her stomach here. Her legs rotate and hinge like most of the other Thundercats figures. She does have a peg joint in her knee, which I will say you need to be careful with it. There's a peg joint in the upper portion of her knee, and then a hinge joint here. And I'm worried that peg might break sometimes. I've loosened it up a little bit out of the box. Like this one, you can feel this one right here is definitely stiffer. So I am a little worried when I'm adjusting that peg could snap. Other than that, the ankles move the same. They have this kind of left to right rotation, and then a hinge for back and forth. But I've put her in various poses, and I've been very impressed with what she's capable of. Unlike most of the other Thundercats figures, Cheetara actually comes with 3 head sculpts. So right now, she kind of has this Eye of the Tiger head sculpt, where her eyeballs actually are slightly orange. Maybe they look like they're supposed to be like on fire. So that's pretty cool. Her hairstyle here is just kind of flowing down the back of her neck there. She's got her cheetah spots. So pretty cool. And then she comes with 2 other head sculpts. So this is the one with her normal eyes. So I guess what I was a little disappointed with their facial sculpts was really the expressions. I think she doesn't really have much character in these expressions, in my opinion. Although the paint job, it's great. It's got that 80s glow, WrestleMania type. So they captured that. That's, part of the original character. And this has the same hairstyle as the other head sculpt that she has. And then we have this 3rd head sculpt, which the biggest difference is the hair. You can see it's flowing backwards. So if you have her in like a running pose or a jumping, her hair is grown. So you can see there's a lot more to it than the other ones, and it's flowing back. Same facial expression though. See, so even though you have 3 different head sculpts, the only difference in the actual expression was the eye colors on one of them. So a little disappointed in that, but still cool that she comes with 3 head sculpts instead of 2, which is typically the standard for the Super 7s. The Metalls didn't come with any extra head sculpts. They just came with whichever one was on the body to begin with. So now we'll go on to her weaponry. So she's got her iconic bow staff. And her hands don't really have rubberized fingers, so you do have to slide it in and out. Over time, that could cause some paint chipping and could be a problem. I wish they had just a little bit of rubberization so you could bend the fingers to put the accessories in. It's kind of interesting because some of the figures have it and some don't. So I'm not sure what they decide when they're choosing which plastics to use for their sculpts. And then you have the retracted version of her staff. And it fits right into this arm cuff. I was a little worried at first that it looked too big, but it does fit in there pretty well, pretty snug. So when she's not using it, it's nicely concealed. It does stay in there well enough. So I think the execution on that design is cool. And then you can see the groove there that it fits into on her forearm. She comes with this bi-flute. So I personally don't remember this from the show, but nonetheless, there it is, the little mouthpiece. It's painted blue. Not bad. She comes with a Mumra mirror. Not truly reflective. It's just like a metallic looking shiny piece of foil on there. The back side has the Thundercats emblem. This was always kind of iconic in the show because Mumra was always terrified or disappointed with his own reflection. And if he was the ever living, if he saw his reflection, he would transform back into his weakened state and be transported back to his castle or his fortress. So she's the only one to have this accessory. We have this interesting flame here. It's huge, has a lot of weight. Honestly feels a little out of place compared to all the other accessories that come with these. It reminds me of an anime style piece. So, I think it's designed to sit on her staff. So if she's, I think when she uses her staff every now and then, it can become like flame tipped. The problem is the weight. You can see how much it's got a lot of weight on there. So it's very interesting. When I first saw it, I'll put a little picture up. I thought it looked like she was riding a witch's broom. So I went ahead and posed her like that, which I thought was kind of funny. And then our last two accessories, we have the Thundercats communicator. Here's a closed version. Here's an open version. They have these little string necklaces so she can have them around her neck. Kind of neat. Honestly, I think this is one of the few characters in this line where it comes with a lot of accessories and they all work pretty well. I don't think there's any flawed accessories that they can't handle or don't fit in the right place. And they're all pretty well done too. Minor detailing, that's an issue with this line with the paint jobs. They don't do a lot of detailing on the paint schemes, but they're all painted. They're all multicolored for the most part. So that's at least a plus. So let's check out her hands. So another difference in this figure compared to the rest is she comes with 4 sets of hands and they are all different. So she doesn't have a lot of the other figures. They have those duplicate hands where they just have the same hand pose, but they have different hinge joints. So in this case, she has 2 closed hand weapon wielding grips there. She stands pretty well too, so we'll keep her there. Has 2 closed fist hands. Has 2 kind of open palm, not really slapping type hands, but they're like an open palm grip, more of like a salute style. And these 2 kind of claw hands that aren't really gripping, but could claw. These hold the communicators well. So there's those. So overall, I'm happy with the execution of this figure. Could they have done a little better? Yeah. Different facial expressions would have been nice. A slightly more muscular physique, I think, is where the actual body mold is missing, and nothing over the top. You know, I felt like I've seen pictures of her with a more muscular physique, yeah, especially like her abs. She has no real ab definition, and her biceps. Like, I don't expect them to be huge, you know, but a little bit of tone, I think, would have done the figure well. So let's check out her packaging. So all the Super 7 figures come with a standard brown shipper with the character's name and the Thundercats symbol on there. And this is her inner packaging. So there you got Cheetara with the Thundercats logo. Go ahead and unsleeve it. These always look great in the blister if you keep them in the package. And then the graphic on the back. And just so you can see, I think this graphic might have overdid the muscular physique, but you can see like there's something there. So I think somewhere in between the picture and the figure would have done this character justice. But otherwise, it's still great box art, and I do love these. With the Super 7 figures, you are paying for the packaging as much as you're paying for the figures. Now we're gonna check out Jaga, the mystical mentor of the Thundercats, and the guy who's actually responsible for getting them to Third Earth. So here's Jaga. Never was really one of my favorite characters in the Thundercats, but he's important nonetheless. He's a big part of the story. So here he is. He's pretty buff, nice physique. He's got his unitard here with a cape. He does come with two capes. The cape that I have him in right now is like a molded plastic cape, so you can't really shape it or anything. It just kind of hangs off. There's a little buckle right here, so if you want to change the capes, that's how you do that. Not a bad figure. Not one of my favorites, but also not one of the worst. So right now I've got him with this, we'll say a smaller head sculpt. He's another Thundercat that comes with 3 head sculpts. This one wearing the helmet is actually smaller than the other 2 head sculpts he comes with. So there's this one, which is another one with his helmet and his beard. And then there's one without his helmet. And if you just do like a side by side, like these other 2 head sculpts, it's like his facial structure is larger. You can see his beard is shaped differently. So I'm not entirely sure what the reasoning behind that is. If there's if there's 2 different versions and that's why they did that, or maybe they made a mistake with one of the heads and they still included it with the figure. I feel like these are the 2 that should have come with him, and that this third one was kind of the mistake sculpt. Either way, comes with 3 heads. Here's his posability. He's got kind of a muscle man posability there. Rar. Oh, his little buckle came off. Oh wow. He's got good hip joint. So I guess this is where I was talking about with Cheetara. So the hinge joint is on the upper portion of the leg on him, and the peg is on the lower portion. So when you're doing this, it never feels like that peg is gonna break, because I think the stress point's on the hinge when you're doing this on the upper part, and on her there's a slight stress on the peg. So slight difference there. Just something to be aware of when you're posing them. But he's fully posable. The articulation's always been pretty great on these. Their biggest issue being how loose the joints are, especially in the ankles. But he's pretty good. He's highly posable. We'll pop his head off so we can check out his other cape. So to take his cape off, you got to pop the head off. And there he is. You can see he's got this piece here. and no head. So we'll put this other cape on, which has this cloth feel, and it's got wire inside of it all around the border edges, so you can actually shape it a little bit. So we'll go ahead and throw on this other. One thing I don't like about these is both the head sculpts have the plastic molded cape, so it looks weird if you mix the cloth cape with either of the helmeted versions because of the different style of fabric. So, but this is pretty cool, so you can, you know, kind of bend it, have the wire in there. Pretty well done. You know, I like that aspect. I think Mumra's the other figure that comes with a cloth posable cape. Peg keeps falling out, so that's not good. Yeah. Once again, he stands pretty well. We'll check out his other accessories. He doesn't come with many accessories. They mostly focused on his capes and his head sculpts. He does have a few hands, but as far as accessory goes, he just has a retracted sword of omens. Pretty basic. You know, the Eye of Thunder there. And then the full length Sword of Omens with the Thundercats logo there. Rubberized. You can see, so they do rubberizing on a lot of stuff. For me, I actually prefer if they didn't do it on the accessories like this, because they can get a little warped or misshapen. But I wish they would do it on the hands a little bit. Here's another figure where his hands are not rubberized, his fingertips. So getting the Sword of Omens in and out of his hands is actually kind of difficult. That's why I don't have him wielding it. But he does come with 6 hands altogether. Sorry, he comes with 7 hands altogether. 3 sets of hands. So right now, he's got these open claw hands, left and a right. He has this slightly closed grip hand with vertical hinge joints. Then he has the same hands with the horizontal hinge joints. And then he's got this, I guess you call it an extra, both accessory and an extra hand. So this is the 7th hand. It's his right hand, open claw. And he's got this like mystical goo. I don't think the execution's done very well. I think it could look cooler, or it could look better. It's just kind of funky looking to me. Like he's holding like a oddly melted Jolly Rancher or something. Like I said, this figure doesn't really do it for me, but he's not the worst. It's always interesting, these loyal subjects guys. Like these are amazing. They have a lot of articulation, nice facial expressions, good detail, and it's like I like this better than this Jaga, and I think these were like $8 or something. I know they're a little more expensive now, but still, like, you know, they use the same quality paints. Well done. But it's just funny when you can get as much enjoyment out of something this size at a much lower price compared to, you know, the action figure version. But it is what it is. Might just be me. Some people might love Jaga. I'm not sure who you are if you're out there, but like I said, not the worst figure, not the best. Check out Jaga's shipper there. So pretty standard. And his box sleeved. Pop that off. There's his blister packaging. And on the back, he's just plain old wise looking Jaga. Nothing too crazy there. Still enjoy that they do that graphic, but his isn't really that appealing for me. Okay, and then lastly on to LynxO, who in all honesty might be my least favorite figure of this entire line that I have. Just there's nothing about this guy that I find that they executed well. So here's LynxO. He's the blind Thundercat. You know, very strong. So he's got a muscle man physique. But I think they changed, I don't know what it is. They changed a few things. His mold is slightly different than a lot of the other molds, and the plastic feels cheaper. It feels like this hard plastic, where the other stuff kind of has texture to it and feels like it's a different blend of plastic. And so this actually feels like a much cheaper figure to me. It feels like something you'd get for $15, like a WrestleMania figure or something like that. Paint job, very kind of bland. It is, that is his color scheme, but the only real detailing they did was on his wrist here, and then on his face sculpt. So we'll get a closer look at his face sculpt. So he's got his eyes closed. He is blind. I do like that beard. It's a cool beard. He's rocking the bandana. So there he is. Posability. He's got the joint issue where some of his joints already feel a little loose, and I think they're going to loosen up more over time. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera here, but this lower leg is a different plastic type than his quad and thigh, this upper leg portion. This is that hard plastic, and this is like the plastic that's on the other figures. So his body is also that hard plastic, and so are his arms. So something weird there going on. So I don't know if they, somebody else manufactured this for them, or if they tried a different process, but I don't think it went well. As far as the character, he's kind of, one of the extras. He's not that important of a character. I honestly didn't remember him on the show until I got this figure and, had to do a little research. And I feel like I purchased him as part of the wave that came out that he was included in. So if I didn't do that, I would not have bought this figure individually. That's for sure. Moving on from him, his accessories are another big issue with this figure. Does come with 2 head sculpts, but really the only difference is that one has that snarl in the corner of his mouth. Otherwise, they're virtually the same head sculpt. He probably comes with the worst possible accessories. First off being this braille board that he uses. I believe it was Panther that designed it for him, and it's so that he can interact with the Thundercats vehicles and the base and stuff, because since he's blind, it's designed for him to be able to utilize the braille, read the braille, and control vehicles and such. It's chonky. I mean, it's just this giant thing. I don't even think there's like a proper way for him to hold it. I guess he could kind of like grip it on the sides like this. But that's just like a weird accessory. It almost looks like it should be part of a console or something, not something that he would just carry around. It's no strap to put it on his back or anything. So that's a funky accessory. This just goes right back in the box. I don't see any way to display it or have it with him. He also comes with this little tablet thing here. I'm not sure what it's about. It reminds me of the original Star Fox on Super Nintendo. That's just how that game looked. So I don't even know what it's for. Waste of plastic. And then you have his actual weapon, which is like this shield thing. And it doesn't fit on him. It's supposed to go around his wrist, and it's just super loose. It doesn't work. There's no real way for him to hold it. There's no peg in there, so even if he wanted to like hold it in his hand like a regular shield, it's supposed to go on his wrist and forearm, but they didn't execute this. Like, it doesn't. Right there, it feels like it's gonna break. I found that like on the thickest part of his forearm is the best way to have it. But as you're kind of posing him or stuff, yep, it just pops right off. So there's that, and that's another waste of accessory. And then he's got the usual sets of hands. So 3 sets of hands. Right now I've got him with these claw hands. You know, more of them. I think for display, this figure is more of a martial arts type figure because his accessories are just a waste of time. He has grip hands, but he doesn't come with anything to grip or hold. And he comes with another set of those with the hinge joints being different. So I think this was just a failed execution of a character that's probably actually not even that popular. So if you have a less popular character, you probably need to do better if you're gonna move the units, or have people want him. Like I said, if he wasn't part of the wave I bought when I purchased him initially, there's no way I would have purchased this figure because he's already not one of my favorite characters. And even after the fact, there's nothing about him that I would recommend going out and getting this. The only reasons you would get this is A, if Lynx-O was your favorite character, and B, if you just have to have the entire collection. Beyond that, I do not recommend spending the money. We'll check out Lynx-O's packaging. Standard cardboard shipper. Says Lynx-O on there. And then we've got his sleeved blister packaging. Flip that off. And then there's his box art, which actually isn't bad. I like that. It's got him flexing, kind of intimidating. One thing that is kind of interesting though is the box art is different than the character paint job. So something about the torso there, the red's higher up on the waist. So I thought that was interesting. So cool. So thank you for checking these out with me. It's been like almost 2 weeks since I posted my last video. We had Hurricane Ian come through, so took the weekend off from that, and then I had a job interview lined up, so I'm trying to go back to work and do some other stuff. My goal was always 3 videos a week between all the different things I have, and I want to keep that up, so I want to get back on track. And thanks for watching. Check out my other collector showcase videos, and beyond that, enjoy the rest of your day.